Hello and welcome to the 2019 FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships. It's the top 16 superstars, it's the European region, and it's the Manufacturers Series that is our focus for the next race. It is going to be very exciting, this one. To guide you through the action, though, we have got myself, Tom Brooks, and alongside me we have Jimmy Broadbent. Jimmy, we've seen some great action in the top 16 superstars in the Nations Cup, but now going into the Manufacturers Series, it's going to be a bit of a different kettle of fish, this one.
I always like the Manufacturers Series, Tom. Of course, our drivers committing to a manufacturer earlier on this year, meaning they're stuck, or I say stuck, maybe the wrong word, maybe they like being that manufacturer, but they have the same car throughout the entire season, meaning they get to know it back to front, and there was some really close and very interesting racing.
Well then, the point standings going into this event for the top 16 superstar in the Manufacturers Series, and you can see Williams Favaros leading the way and TRL Susu, so Porsche inside the top two. A good advantage in points that Williams Favaros has there at the top of the order as well. You can see Toyota in third place, BMW in fourth with TX3 Adam, as well as TRL Lightning in the McLaren. McLaren actually, of course, not necessarily represented that well in the Manufacturers Series, but TRL Lightning there, Jimmy, doing a good job to keep him inside the top five.
That's right, of course, and really you're looking to try and beat the closest manufacturer to you. So while TRL Suzu is in second place, he is still the second Porsche driver, so he needs to be the first Porsche driver to go through to the final. Same thing a bit further down the field. We have GJ Tishney there as well. Someone we've not seen too much in the Nations Cup. I've heard from him he was focusing very much on manufacturers, actually leading ROH Beneteau there. So the lead Audi driver, but they are our top 8 so far, and here are our 9th to 16th place. So we see another Porsche driver, TRL Org there, in 10th position, as well as our first Jaguar driver, VLX Steve Gaming, in 11th place. So while he's in 11th place in the rankings, he is the first Jaguar driver, so a good place for him to be right now.
Yeah, certainly so. You can see the Manufacturer Series champions of last year, Lexus, down there in 15th and 16th position as well, so lots of work for them to be doing this season. Hasn't gone their way so far in 2019. Anyway, we've got the race coming up a little bit later on, but let's guide you through the circuit that they're going to be racing on, the Mount Panorama motor racing circuit, known as Bathurst to you and me, I'm sure. And what a circuit this is, Jimmy. 6.2 kilometres, and it's just a legendary venue with every single fibre of it, really, just completely full of history and character and everything in between.
You know, all the Aussies there are going to they're going to come beat you up now, Tom. You said Bathurst, not Bathurst.
Oh, I apologise.
There you go. We'll get that out of the way now. Yeah, Bathurst, fantastic circuit, famous for a reason, and you're going to see why today.
The cars out on track then ahead of this qualifying session. 10 minutes for these drivers, racing hard and medium tyres at this legendary Mount Panorama circuit here, Jimmy. Group 3 cars as well. It is going to be exciting, this qualifying session, isn't it?
Yeah, match made in heaven this, if you ask me. We have our first cars coming around to complete their first flying laps. So we'll see what kind of times our competitors have in store for us. Steve Gaming is going to be the first person to set a lap in that glorious Jaguar F-Type. Comes around Murray's corner. It's a drive to the line. Let's see what he's got at the moment in this session. So coming across the line, the time is 2 minutes, I'll tell you that much. 01.864, so that's a decent time to put down. And is immediately beaten by TRL Org in the Porsche, 201.3. That's an amazing time.
Very, very impressive indeed. What about Carl Williams then? Looking a bit squirrely coming out of that final corner. That surely would have cost him a tenth or two. He comes over the line, and sure enough, it did cost him a few tenths. He goes third quickest. Yomas there in the Ferrari. 458 Italia Group 3 machine goes to fourth quickest, and Rick 918 BMX in the Toyota FT1 Vision Gran Turismo. He's about to complete his first flying lap in this session, goes up to third quickest. This is interesting as well because, of course, these drivers have got very, very heavy cars at this stage in the qualifying session. They've got as maximum amount of fuel as possible as they could do at this point, so they're going to be trying to burn off as much fuel as they can. So.
Saying that,
yeah.
SRC SVDR, they're putting a fantastic time at 201.7 in that front engine BMW M6. Here's RC Snake in the AMG. Can he do better? No, he can't. 202.4 for now, moves him up to 8 provisionally, sorry. And BFR Devil and Toyota goes to 202.0. So Toyota 4th and 6th right now.
This is going to be interesting to see what happens here, because we're expecting the fast times to come, Jimmy, at the end of this qualifying session. Not necessarily guaranteed, though. If these drivers are able to set those quicker lap times with the more fuel on board these cars, it could prove to be a case of the faster times come at the earlier stages of the session.
Well, a low 201 is very fast, so if we see anything quicker than that, it will be a fantastic lap. But it does, of course, mean navigating this mountain panorama circuit pretty much perfectly. It's a very tricky circuit to get completely right around here. Gerald now slowing down just to make sure he burns off a little bit of fuel. Same with SRC here, just making his way around very slowly, and just you see got one foot on the brake as well, just burning off that fuel when he can. It's important, of course, when doing that, not to get in anybody else's way around it. It's really a single file around the mountain panorama. So if you do get in someone else's way, you're going to end up probably arriving nasty email afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely right. Coming down through these S-bends as well. What a fantastic part of the lap it is. It rewards the brave, but it punishes the foolish down in towards the Forest L. But you can see SRC SVDR there. What a brilliant lap that is from him. That 2:01.770. Great performance from the BMW M6 GT3 or Group 3 driver. You can see BLX Steve Gaming is now in the pit lane, as is TRL Suzu. New set of tyres on their car, no fuel going in. Of course, there's no need for the fuel. You can see a few drivers there are still on flying laps in this session.
A bit messy down there, isn't it?
It is.
Trying to find a little bit of road to call their own and at the same time save fuel. Looks like Suzu is going to go for another lap of fuel burning. SRC SVDR, I think, is also on a fuel burn lap. Here is Stefansi there in the Hyundai Genesis. Don't see much of Hyundai in the Group 3, so good to see them out here and being representative, of course.
Yeah, absolutely right. If you've already watched the if you've already watched the Nations Cup race, you'll know that the results was very, very exciting indeed, and we'll know how quick that TRL Lightning was during that as well. However, in this session, in the McLaren that he is driving so far, not necessarily the most competitive car on this grid in the manufacturer series.
Well, that's the big difference between Nations and manufacturers there, Tom, is that Nations Cup pretty much you can pick whatever car you like, so usually the same car fits because it's the most competitive. In manufacturers, you take the car that is represented by your brand, your manufacturer. So, of course, if you're a Hyundai guy, you take the Genesis. If you're a McLaren driver like TRL Lightning, take the 650S. No choice. Yeah,
absolutely. That's the thing. So it does make it very, very interesting, doesn't it? Here is TRL Lightning there. You can hear the whistle of the car as he comes up in toward Quarry Bend for that qualifying lap that he is on. Looks like he's on a bit of a fast one here as we ride on board. This is TRL Lightning, I apologise, as we look at him now coming up through into the cutting. This is a brilliant part of the lap. Just talk us through it here, Jimmy, as well. What are the things that you're looking out for as a driver? Where are your turning points? Where are your braking markers? How do you tackle this part of the lap?
Just about being brave with weight distribution. So usually you're flat through here. TRL Lightning isn't right now, so not very confident in the car. And really you're actually throwing it at the wall. So you look for a little bit of guttering on the right here. You turn in there, and then you aim it at the wall on exit, run over the curb. And as soon as you get to the curb here, that's when you start turning the car. And the corner falls away from you, so you have to be confident, keep the car turned in, and don't chicken out, which you can do, and it ends up putting you into the grass if you're not careful. Now going back down the hill towards the dip, it's about just being neat and tidy down here. TRL Lightning isn't on the fast lap, I don't think. It doesn't seem like he is anyway. He's being very relaxed with his lap. But it's all about being relaxed and clean, and then coming through to Forest Elbow. I prefer an earlier apex here, means you can get the power a bit earlier towards the right wall. And that's when you breathe, you get a bit of a chance to exhale and to think about the crazy half a lap you've got and get prepared to do it again next lap.
Yeah, just watching this on board makes me want to go out on GC Sport and have a go on this circuit. It's not often that you probably do because of your job, but I don't get the chance to have a go on sim racing that much. But I tell you what, I want to have a bit of a go. I tell you what, Carl Williams there being very aggressive with his tyre warming up strategy as well, and caught the grass a little bit of a slip and a slide from him in front.
TRL Lightning's like, okay mate, you do that, I'm going to get on with it. And past he goes. Of course, track position is quite important as well for these things, so what you don't want to be doing is losing too much track position when coming on to the next lap. You don't want to be setting a PB and then come across a slower car.
No, absolutely not. And not long left in this session as well. These guys are really going to have one final flying lap in this qualifying session as well. So let's keep an eye out and see what the times are going to be as they come in, see whether anybody's going to be able to improve on their benchmark time. And on this man here's fastest time in that session as well, a 2:01.337. He comes over the line to start what will in theory be his last flying lap in this session. TRL Org right on board with him now coming out of that final corner, and this is such a brilliant part of the lap, isn't it? You just don't realise how much elevation change there is until you ride on board and see it.
Great overtake opportunities here in the race as well, so you all the way up Mountain Straight and then you get prepared to start climbing the mountain. First of all you have Quarry's corner here, very fun corner. This corner opens up on exit, so you can really get on the throttle nice and early, go out to the barrier, give it a little kiss when you're feeling brave, and then come up towards the cutting again. This corner cam is in the left, it's all about getting the car tucked in, and TRL Org really throwing it in. I'm surprised he made that actually.
Very aggressive, isn't he? You can see him hacking away at the wheel. Now looking to this right-hander, this is where you said you'll have confidence. Flat through there, not a hint of a lift, and just able to avoid the wall on the outside.
Never feels like you can go flat through there, but you can, and it really does reward you time-wise if you can make it done. He's looking a little bit ragged on this lap, I must say, compared to his last lap, but the car's going to be lighter at this point, so it might still be able to go faster. We're saying that he is down right now by 10.5 on his best time.
Yeah, absolutely. He was faster in the first sector by a couple of hundredths of a second. Look at the way he's going sideways as he comes down through the S-bends there. He's just looking a little bit too far, perhaps overdriving. Is that a better way of putting it?
A little. I mean, he's got a big gap right now. Maybe he thinks it, or maybe he knows he can go faster and he's chasing that lap time. We have another split though coming down the Conrod Straight, so we'll have a better idea of how he's looking now. He's coming up to the timing line. It's just underneath this gantry. How's it looking? It is he's up only just, but TRL Suzu has finished.
Yeah, he'll go no better than 7th fastest in that session.
Nope. Steve Gaming as well, the 201.7 goes up to 2nd, so knocks off SRC SVDR. Oh, I think that's it for that, Tom.
Yep, that is it. That is game over then. Written on at BMX though, great lap at the end of the session. He goes 2nd fastest to the front row of the grid. Brilliant stuff from the Dutchman. SRC SVDR, he's got one more corner to negotiate. He was a little bit down in that last sector, but can he improve in position? Let's wait and see. He's right down the order now. He goes over the line. Does he improve? Not so much.
Doesn't improve either there, Tom.
No.
So importantly, that is the pole time set for now. Provisional pole. BFR Devil coming in the time, moves up to 6th on a 201.9, as does Jomas in the Ferrari. Good showing from him, a 202.0, just about 6 tenths off the leader's time. Here's RC Snake. Can he move up from 12th position? Comes across the line now, and he
surely will improve. Let's have a little look and see. We'll wait and see as we look at the final times in that session. Fastest man though, TRL Org, it did come early doors for the Porsche driver, a 201.337. He was over 2 tenths faster than his nearest competitor of Rick 918 BMX, but look at how close that field is there as well. Great job from TRL Lightning and that McLaren, which we know is not the favoured car in this series. He qualified inside the top 10.
Now, RC Snake did not improve. It was a 12th position for him in the end. GTA Tishney, of course, one of the more well-known members of the Gran Turismo community there in 10th, rounding out the top 10. Good session, that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, let's get ready then, shall we, and have a look and see what the racing strategy is going to be for these drivers. So here we can see 9 laps for the drivers to compete with. 55.9 kilometres, just under 60k for these drivers as well. 2 times fuel consumption here, Jimmy, but 14 times tyre wear with racing medium and hard compounds available.
Yeah, you'll feel that tyre wear going over the mountain. I can tell you that now for free. The racing medium we think is not capable of going to the end of the race. And if it is, it's going to be horrible to drive towards the end. Unlike the last race we went into, it seems the racing hard tyre is actually a decent option if you want to try and do a no-stop strategy. So we'll just see what our drivers do.
And to the grid then, let's have a look and see who is lining up where. Of course, it's TRL Org who is on pole position. Rick 918 BMX alongside him. Down towards his first corner, Jimmy. It's going to be very, very exciting.
That's right, our drivers coming around. Manufacturer Series, round 8 is about to begin with TRL Org leading us off to Hell Corner for the first time. And it's green flag. And away we go then, down to T1. Everyone, of course, rolling starts, so nice and easy down there. And now get round Hell Corner in one piece and focus from there. In the background, that was SRC SVDR getting all kind of sideways now. So he's going to be side by side with Carl Williams. In fact, he's lost the place now, so down to 5th position. Right now, our camera is now focused on their battle for 4th, 5th and 6th. Coming up to Griffin's Corner for the first time. Williams leads SR, leads BFR. Devil there in the background, all nice and neat and tidy through there, but not the start the BMW driver would have wanted down in 5th place.
Certainly not. Riding on board we are with Carl Williams then, looking back at the rear wing, looking at the drivers who are following him. Very much one at a time as we come up through the mountain then. Not really a lot of overtaking opportunities, but you can guarantee if it was a bit later in this race, maybe a few drivers would be perhaps trying to do something a little bit drastic, but at these early stages, everybody keeping a nice, cool and calm head. There's a lot more to lose on the first lap than there is to gain.
It was very interesting to see that Carl Williams has opted to start on the harder compound of tyres. So over the mountain this first time round, as you can see, he's kind of acting like the cork in the bottle with these 2 soft runners just behind him. So these guys want to try and get by as quick as possible. Again, another mistake from the BMW driver in front. He's all over the place at the moment, and there, as a result, he's picked up a 5-second penalty, which he'll have to serve coming out down onto Conrod Straight. So on board now with BFR Devil coming out of the Forest Elbow for the first time. At the start of the field, the head of the field, TRL Org is leading from Rick 918 BMX by a second. The VLX Steve Gaming in 3rd, and there you see SRC taking his penalty and losing all that momentum. In fact, now I think even Jomas behind in the Ferrari is going to get past, and he does. Jomas goes up to 6th.
Side by side they were just for a brief second, but the Ferrari 458 Italia then of Jomas now is ahead. SRC SVDR is going to be on the attack. It's been a disastrous first lap there for him. He's just lost position after position. A mistake at the first corner and then some uncharacteristic issues in the midsection as well, sadly putting him a little bit on the back foot into Murray's corner, the last corner, 1 lap down, 8 to go here in the Manufacturer Series for the top 16 superstars. Over the line we go, nose to tail they run for 6th and 7th place down towards that first corner. Once again, they're carrying a lot more speed here, of course, than they were on the first time around, and this is where that slipstream is so effective in these Group 3 cars, Jimmy, and this is where we could see some moves being made.
Now, SRC really does need to get by Jomas using that slipstream, because Jomas is on the harder compound of tyres, going to hold him up over the top, but he's not quite close enough. When he looks inside, he dives to the inside at the last second, late on the brakes, but not late enough. A little bit of a nibble there on the back of Jomas, don't be doing that too much going through Griffins, and now uphill towards the cutting. We've seen overtaking here happen before, but it's got to be a bit of a lunge, and he has a look, but not quite close enough. Thinks better of it, I think probably for the best. And now over the mountain we go once more, but look at the gap. Bear in mind SRC was 4th. You can see the time he's lost there visually. Quite a big gap there between himself now and 4th position, and now he's stuck again behind Jomas over the top on that harder compounded tyre.
Well, whilst he's stuck behind Jomas as well, he's really losing ground to the drivers in front. 4th and 5th place of Carl Williams and BFR Devil are going very, very close in front of 4th position. You can see as we look now at BFR Devil in the Vision 1 Gran Turismo, the FT1 Vision Gran Turismo machine. We ride on board with him now, and surely down the Conrod Straight is where he's going to be thinking about a move. He's getting closer and closer to the Mercedes. He needs to have a really good run through the left-hander. A little bit wide there for Carl Williams in front. Is that going to compromise his drive as they come onto this Conrod Straight then? Down here we go. The Mercedes straight line speed is pretty good. Is he going to go defensive though, Williams? Let's see whether BFR Devil can do anything in behind the wheel of that Toyota to mount a move. Further back, Jomas versus SRC SVDR as well. Side by side they come. BMW versus Ferrari, and it's SRC SVDR with the inside line, and now with track position he's up into 6th place. Does Jomas fight back into the next corner? Not really, because he's coming under pressure from behind as well. Meanwhile, BFR Devil has managed to get the better of Carl Williams.
So that was needed there for BFR Devil. Again, Carl Williams being on that harder compounder tyre, so getting by is important. Now, we think that the hard compounder tyre can do the entire race without pitting. So your lead runner right now on the hard compound tyre subdivision, I guess we'd say right now, is Carl Williams in that Mercedes, followed by Jomas, who's in 7th position. But he's having a lot of trouble there. He's got a lot of cars right up close behind him. So one mistake there from Jomas, and he's going to end up going back down the field. So behind Jomas we have TX3 Adam, TRL Lightning in the lone McLaren there, followed by GTA Chisney. So it's a couple of big names there lurking behind, and all these guys, Jomas, Adam, Tishney and the Lightning, they've all been at finals together, so they all know how each other drives, they all know each other's attitude, so should be some good racing.
Yeah, certainly so, and it is proving to be very, very close so far. Rick 918 BMX doesn't have the pace to match TRL Org in the Porsche at the moment. Meanwhile, we're riding on board with VLX Steve Gaming, who's looking a little bit ragged here, it's got to be said, just nearly kissed the wall on the outside coming through this midsection, over the brow of the hill in towards the fast left-hander, which follows. You can see the fantastic view of the Australian countryside over in the distance. Rick 918 BMX still holding on to 2nd position so far. Doesn't have the pace to match the race leader, falling into the clutches of Steve Gaming there as well. But Steve Gaming there having a bit of a poor middle sector, I think it's got to be said, and losing a little bit of time and perhaps losing touch with him as well.
Maybe keeping a bit too much of an eye on that view you mentioned, Tom. We'll be looking at the track, not what's out in the distance. Here is TX3 Adam now, so he's getting a bit closer in that big bulky M6 BMW. He'll be tucked in now on the slipstream of the rather slender, by comparison, 458 GT3 Ferrari. We'll come back to that in a second though, because here is SRC making up another place, this time on Carl Williams. He's almost back to where he started. Almost is the word there. He started in 4th and down to 5th now. On the back there's TX3 Adam. He makes a move, dives up the inside of Jomas 74 and finally gets by. That's putting him up to 7th and puts Jomas down to 8th. That's slowed down Jomas a bit now. What's TRL Lightning got behind the McLaren? Not quite close enough for the move right now. So here we are then looking back from the BMW. Look how sideways Jomas, he's still sideways, catching a little bit of grass there and just losing time, hand over fist to the BMW in front.
Yeah, and that McLaren closing up very closely behind there as well. So TRL Lightning could prove to be a bit of a threat here, coming down the straight, down the mountain straight in towards Quarry Bend, which does follow. Will there be any moves made? Jomas doesn't go defensive. That's surprising, actually. Almost a bit of a blip of the brake lights. We saw that flashing there. TRL Lightning pulls alongside. Side by side they come down towards Quarry Bend. Up the inside goes TRL Lightning and into 8th position. Nice move there, clean as you like. And it's also going to allow GTA Tichney there in the Audi Rd.8 to close up, but is he going to have the chance to be able to make a move into the cutting, then into Griffin's Mount they'll go? And are we going to see any moves being made by the Briton as we ride on board with him?
I think we're a bit too far gone for that now. We get to the mountain, and again it's pretty much one at a time over here, as you said earlier on. What will be interesting is to see the gap now between Lightning and Yomus. Can Lightning open up the gap with that softer compounder tyre on the medium compound as opposed to the hard? And the thing is, round here, track position is pretty much everything. If you can't get by someone by the time you get up to Quarry Corner, you're pretty much stuck behind them all the way down to Forest Elbow, and that can really be a dampener, especially if you're running a faster compounder tyre. Yomus into the wall, Disney with nowhere to go, and now they're side by side coming down to Forest Elbow. There comes TRL Suits in the background as well. He's going to try and go around the outside of Yomus. He does it there in the Porsche, and Yomus there, one mistake costs him 2 positions just like that.
Big drama then for Yomus as well. His race is going sadly from bad to worse. He's on the harder compound of tyres, as we know. He needed to have a good few opening laps, and it has been anything but that. Meanwhile, side by side between SRC, SVDR, who's on the attack once again, and into 4th position. He gets the better of BFR Devil in the final sector. Brilliant move there, and a great recovery so far after that disappointing first lap. Meanwhile, the race leader pits, and also TRL Org now coming into the pit lane as well.
So we're going to see the first of our medium runners coming in. So it's going to be a one stop from those guys. I wonder if we'll see the hard runners make a stop at this point. We'll have to wait and see. I'd say, of course, that it's been a good recovery from SRC, but he put himself in that position a bit in the first place. So, you know, he's now back up to where he started, essentially after, of course, the leader has been. So now up to 3rd place. And Rick 918 BMX for now will inherit the lead. It's fairly close to him himself and Steve Gaming behind in the Jaguar. Very strong showing from that Jag up in 2nd place right now.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff there from Steve Gamer. Probably the best performance we've seen of him so far this season in the Manufacturer Series for the top 16 superstars. So BFR Devil in the pit lane, but he's been given a penalty there, Jimmy, as well, for one reason or another. So that is certainly not going to be helping his outlap. That's when he needed to push, and he needed to have a good, strong lap time, and it's not going to prove to be so far. We don't know what the penalty is for. We don't know how long it is for either, but he's down there in 14th position as he's resumed back on track. And that is not ideal in any way, shape or form for the Toyota driver.
Oh, Rick there getting all kind of sideways on the exit skyline. But to very quickly go back to the penalty, you can pick up a penalty around the circuit if you are basically in the wall too much, if you're using the wall to try and turn the car, which you don't like to see an Org there. That was interesting. TRL Org, I think, just was let go there by TRL Lightning. Org, of course, has taken the stop already, so that goes to show the difference between Org and Lightning. That's the pit stop between them, and Org is still ahead. So I think Mick Hazel there playing the team game a bit. He knows that Org is ahead, goes, you know what, off you go, I'll keep these guys behind me for a while. And yeah, best of luck for your race. But I think we'll probably see the rest of the medium runners in this lap, because look at the comparison in speed here between the Porsche and the McLaren.
Yeah, absolutely big difference, as you can see, coming down that Conrod straight in towards the fast right-hander, which does follow Tidgney versus Lightning side by side. Tidgney going to go all the way around the outside. Absolutely inspired move by the Briton. That was an absolutely fantastic overtake coming down in towards the chase.
Going back at it though, Tom. TRL Lightning goes up the inside. You see Tidgney has to brake and then pull into the pit lane. He was not expecting for Lightning to come back there, so he actually lost time, I think, overall doing that. But Lightning going for another lap on this medium compounder tyre. How interesting. Now, I'm not sure in which order you would have watched this at home, so I won't give too much away, but we have seen in the past some interesting strategies from Lightning on tyre compound, so one to watch. But right now we'll go back to the head of the field. That is your leading hard runner, which is Carl Williams. He has not stopped yet, and we don't think he will stop. So let's have a look at the gap. The gap we want to look really is between him and Org, and there is Org actually in the background coming out of Quarry's Bend and now up to the cutting. So what I'm going to predict is by the time we get down to Forest Elbow, they're going to be all together.
Yeah, you only have to look at the lap times, really. Carl Williams and T.S. Adam 3 have not pitted. They set a 2:04 last time around. Meanwhile, the race leader, TRL Org, the race leader, first race leader in this one, we should say, 3rd place currently, who will surely be fighting for that race lead, set a 1:59.725 last time around. Only the casual 4 seconds or so quicker there, Jimmy.
Yeah, so I mean that is not pace you can defend. Look at the amount of confidence that TRL Org there has in that 911 RSR. He's just driving up to the back of these guys up there standing still. It's like, excuse me mate, I've got a race to get on with, I can't have you holding me up. And already, as predicted, and I'm going to be very smug now, he's right on the back of these guys coming out of Forest Elbow, and for good measure he's going to have the draft from that BMW. He's going to do that. They're flashing the hazards there from TX Random, saying, yeah mate, I know you're going past, I'm not going to fight you too much. And now he goes after Carl Williams, so I don't think he's going to be stopping, so this is going to be a straight fight on track.
Well, very, very good stuff indeed from TRL Hawk. He's put in an absolutely blistering middle part of this race. His strategy has been pretty much perfect, and now with fewer than 3 laps remaining, it is going to be surely his race to lose if he can find a way past Carl Williams. Carl Williams hasn't pitted, but he is on that harder compound of tyres. He's trying to go all the way to the end of the race, but the pace difference between the two is so vast that surely he's going to think about a move. Here comes VLX Steve Gaming up the inside into the left hand of the final corner of TRL Lightning. He finds his way through, and he's now into 4th position. That Jaguar is working very, very well indeed here. I want to cross back though to the race lead, because surely that is going to be changing hands very soon indeed. Carl Williams goes defensive down the mountain straight, heading in towards the right-hander which follows. Will Org be able to find his way past? He's going to try and find his way through. Lace on the brakes, they're running side by side once again, down in towards the right-hander, up the hill. A brilliant move all the way around the outside for TRL Org. He takes the race lead here in the Manufacturers Series for the European region. Absolutely brilliant stuff, and now surely if he can just keep it on the straight and narrow, this is going to be his race to lose.
Great respect there from Williams behind. He saw it coming and gave all the space, gave pretty much as little space as he could there to Org in front, and Org took what he needed, went around the outside, and that's it, done is done. There's pretty much no chance now Williams is going to catch up to Org unless there is a mistake there from the driver of the Team Redline car there, but that's looking very unlikely. The gap is already up to a second.
Absolutely brilliant stuff. Down through into the S's we will go, and then into Forest Elbow for the 7th time out of 9. You can see a difference of tyres for these drivers that they're on. You can see Rick 918 BMX on his fight back through the field as TRL Lightning in front struggles to keep it on the straight and narrow and finds his way through after a mistake from the German driver. Does Rick 918 BMX. Brilliant stuff there from the Dutchman in the Toyota FT1 Vision Gran Turismo machine. He's through then, up inside the top 5 once again, and now TRL Lightning is going to have to be watching his mirrors, because his fellow Team Redline teammate is going to be all over the back of him before too long in the Porsche 911.
It's looking like a lot of his medium runners are actually going to not go for a stop, which is interesting because it's getting a bit late in the race now. Here is one of the runners who's opted to stay out on the medium tyre for what may be the whole race. TRL Lightning a little bit sideways on entry there, up to the left hand. Let's see if he peels off to the left to the pit lane. He might do so. No, I think he said, no, I've made my bed now I've got to lay in it. So he's going to take those tyres to the end, I think.
Yeah, absolutely disappointing really there for TRL Lightning. He's pulled off, as you said earlier on, Jimmy, similar strategies in the past where he's done a no-stopper on the unfavoured compound of tyre and managed to pull off an absolute masterclass of performance, but it's not proven to be the case so far. Meanwhile, TX3 Adam, final podium position he is in currently, but for how much longer, as we ride on board with VLX Steve Gaming coming over the brow of the hill, down in towards the right-hander. Side by side they're going to be surely, nearly, closely, but not quite. And Adam goes and outbrakes himself up the inside. Thank you very much. And a bit of contact between the two there as well. That was a bit rough and a bit ready there, with Adam trying to defend his position and Steve Gaming there getting a little bit robust with his way through.
I don't know about that one. It looks like that Adam kind of lost it on the curb on exit and then came back across. We'd have to have a replay of that, but we're 6-1, I think, in that situation. What we'll do now is focus on what's happening now, which I think is going to be Steve Gaming trying to chase down Carl Williams for that second step on the podium. And right now, he's only about a second off. He's on fresher tyres, fresher medium tyres, so he's got a massive tyre advantage over Carl Williams in front, but only a lap and a half to do it in. And here is what that tyre advantage looks like when you're chasing down the car on the worst tyres. You see there Williams in front really struggling to get the car to point the way he wants it to, and now braking hard down to Forest Elbow. Now accelerate at that blue sign on the right, a little bit too enthusiastic there from Steve, but now he'll have the slipstream all the way down the straight. What kind of grunt does this Jaguar have?
Well, this is very interesting. Riding on board we are with the Jaguar F-Type, the V8 engine throbbing away underneath. And this is going to be very interesting to see how these drivers are faring. What was that facial expression for? In fact, don't worry about that because he's going to find his way through.
Oh, look at that.
Absolutely brilliant stuff from Steve Gaming. This has been an absolutely sensational final laps from the German driver. That is doing an absolutely brilliant job. That's Jaguar, as we said, one of the best performances we've seen in the Manufacturer Series for that mark so far this year. And proving to be very, very competitive here at Mount Panorama. Final lap time then, TRL Org has a comfortable cushion of 4.9 seconds. And it looks like he is going to surely go on to clean up here today, to the surprise of absolutely nobody at all.
Well, we still have some battles going out on circuit. The ones to watch are the medium tyre runners who have stopped versus those who have not stopped. So, Rick 918 BMX right now in 5th position. He's right up behind TX3 Adam. There it is on track right now. Rick 918 BMX looks to the outside, coming to quarry. TX3 Adam parks it in the middle of a circuit, dives it in deep there to quarry. I think he's just about going to keep it. He's not going to repeat the mistake he made last lap. He went a little bit wide, but now one more attempt up into the cutting.
Yeah, his tyres are absolutely gone at this point. TX3 Adam, he's just driving around with it, skating and sliding all over the place. It'll be understeering like a shopping trolley. It's sliding around like a toddler. And he's trying to, I don't know where that one came from either, and he's trying to find his way through. At the moment is Rick 918 BMX over the brow of the hill into the fast left-hander, which follows very much one at a time, unless Rick 918 BMX can try and invent something. He can try and find his way through, but he doesn't need to be rash, really. He knows he's going to have a pace advantage. He knows onto the Conrod straight he's going to be strong behind the wheel of that Vision Gran Turismo machine, and if he can get a good run through the Forest Elbow and a good exit out onto that straight, he'll surely be in a good position to pounce.
So what Adam needs to do right now is back him up a little bit. So that's not backing up, that's getting all kinds of sideways, tries to get on the power for a good entry down the hill, but then gets it wrong, and that is a conclusion to that battle. Rick 918 BMX moves up into 4th position now. TX3 Adam unfortunately losing out big time, but meanwhile we have a battle still going on down the field while our leader comes round to finish off his final lap.
Brilliant stuff from TRL Org. It has been a fantastic performance from the French driver. He has pretty much dominated this one from start to finish. His strategy has been perfect. His pace has been exceptional. He rounds Murray's corner for the final time to take the win in the Manufacturers Series in the top 16 superstars for round 8. Brilliant stuff in the European region. VLX Steve Gaming finishes in 2nd position, and Carl Williams takes 3rd place. 3 different manufacturers on the podium in the Manufacturers Series. 5 different manufacturers inside the top 5. Absolutely brilliant stuff. TRL Lightning, despite not having the pace all weekend, has somehow managed to salvage 6th position right at the very end of that one, and look how close it was in the top 10 as well, as RC Snake takes an unorthodox method to go over the timing line to finish his race. The rest of the competitors come over and take the checkered flag, but an absolutely fantastic race, a brilliant performance from TRL Org. The rest of the drivers coming over the line now to complete the lap and complete the final lap and the race. That was absolutely brilliant.
So many different strategies there that all played off. We had a one-stop medium, we had a no-stop hard, which came in 3rd place in the end. But every strategy seemed to work for everyone who tried to make it work for themselves. But in the end, it was TRL Org on that one-stop medium compound, fastest lap as well of a 2:01.5. Brilliant by him. Not such a great showing, of course, for Yomas on the other hard compound runner. He ended up in 9th position after strong form earlier on, as did SRC SVDR, who was actually in about 3rd or 4th position at the start of the pit stops, and now finished off in 10th place. So not a good showing from him at all.
Yeah, disappointing second half of the race for SRC SVDR. TRL Org, though, the undisputed winner. Well, what does that mean for the standings then in the Manufacturers Series? Let's have a look for you, shall we, and tell you who is lining up where. And look how close it is at the top now. Williams Favaros, of course, not here in round 8, and that means that TRL Org closes up 6 points separating the top 2 there, Jimmy.
Yeah, I think TRL Org needed that result, because look, we have Porsche 1, 2 and 3 in the rankings right now. And what that essentially means is that only right now Williams Favaros will be the person going through, whereas Org and Sutsu will be missing out. But imagine doing that and then missing out by 6 points. It's so great how close this is.
Absolutely, and there's still plenty more of the story to be able to tell you as well. You can see very close as well between 3rd, 4th and 5th position there. Not too many points separating them, just 60 between Rick 918 BMX. VLX's Steve Gaming, his strongest showing, as you can see, for a very long time. In fact, his strongest showing nearly of the season, if not for round 1. And he is in 5th position there now and closing up on the back of Rick 918 BMX there, lead Jaguar driver, so that'll be a good performance there for VLX Steve Gaming. It is going to be a very, very exciting time, though, to see how the rest of the Manufacturer Series goes on, and the next Manufacturer Series event is not too far away at all either.
Not to forget, of course, Tom, we do have are 9th to 16th there as well. A decent showing for Tishney. He's actually moved up a little bit up into, I say that, he's moved down in the rankings, but he's moved further away from his competitor, Rd.8 Bonetto there. He's now up to 9th position with Veloci Storm, another Porsche driver, in 10th. Meanwhile, right at the bottom, BFR Devil just about holding on, and that result was actually decent for him. It was a counter score. You can see it by it's highlighted in red. So he did improve his score there, but he's still only just hanging on. Bear in mind, he is the second Toyota driver there, not the first.
Yeah, absolutely right, as you say there, Jimmy. So too much work for him to do, surely, to be able to overhaul the faster Toyota in the points ranking. Anyway, the Manufacturers Series then, it does continue onwards, and the next event is going to be on the top 16 Superstars on the 25th of May for the European region. It's going to be very exciting to see who will line up where and which manufacturer will come out on top. Don't miss it.